As someone who's been playing the Bayonetta series since its original release back on PS3 and Xbox 360, I've become enthralled in the lore and character of Bayonetta. So imagine my sheer joy at the fact that not only is my favorite video game character in Super Smash Bros., but we just got a truly massive third Bayonetta title in the series, and now we're even getting an indie-like spin-off game featuring the titular witch not even a few months later. Fun fact, I also love indies. No longer do I feel like I'm crazy for being infatuated with this wonderful character and her games. As it turns out, more people are finally catching on. And now I can use my years of knowledge for the series to analyze and explain everything for you. My name may be Johto Jonny, but on my channel lies a slew of Bayonetta explanation videos. Today is no different. Let's dive into the reveal trailer for Bayonetta Origins and analyze every ounce of it. To start, let's address every character that shows their face or voice in this trailer. First is this character that warns Cereza not to enter the forest. She clearly has a witch heart on her chest, has white hair, wears a puffy neckline, has icy blue makeup, and wears a dark crown. Who else is a witch that has white hair, wears puffy necklines, has worn icy blue makeup, and is heir to a throne? Yep, Jeanne, meaning this woman is almost definitely Jeanne's mother, as Jeanne would be around Cereza's age at this time since she's 1 month younger, according to their birth dates. The woman's voice sounds slightly reminiscent of Jeanne's raspy voice, but still entirely different. Makes sense for what her mother would sound like. And Jeanne's mother would make sense to be one of the few witches who would even talk to Cereza, as Jeanne is the only witch to befriend her. I've been seeing people say all kinds of other theories for who this woman is, and honestly, I'm shocked no one else has come to this conclusion. I also want to address the narrator's voice we keep hearing.
Cereza and the Lost Demon.
Again, I keep seeing all kinds of wild theories for who this is, but I'm shocked. No one said this just sounds like a calmer version of the Umbran Elder's voice.
Pushed the witch hunts further, and soon the Umbra witches, keepers of the darkness, were extinguished from the earth. All but one.
Cereza and the Lost Demon.
Knowing they got this voice actress back, it would be nice to see if she's included in the story as well, since I've personally been wanting to learn more about her. Next is Cheshire, the demon Cereza seems to have accidentally possessed her Cheshire doll with by summoning him. Oddly enough, his possession form seems very reminiscent of Lucca's Strider form from Bayonetta 3, complete with a cape. And the demon spirit itself is one we know what it looks like thanks to Viola using him in 3. As we see on the title font, on the game cover, and in this image, we'll be seeing Cheshire's true form at some point in the story, it seems. And I suppose he adopts the name Cheshire only after possessing Cereza's Cheshire doll. Rosa, who seems to be voiced by Jennifer Hale again, is our next reveal. What's plaguing her? We'll discuss that later. We then catch a glimpse of what seems to be an entirely new character. I've seen a lot of people refer to them as a boy, but they're so androgynous and their face never gets shown, I honestly can't tell. There's several possibilities for who this is. Number 1 is an entirely new character we've never heard of before, of course. Number 2, and my personal belief, is that this is Queen Mab, Queen of the Fairies, and the same being who spoke to the medieval Japanese blacksmith in a dream to craft the Mab Dachi, which eventually finds its way to Viola as heir to the sword's power. Now, whether this character is good or evil is another question, as their knowledge and overwhelming willingness to help is very suspicious. I'll discuss how their part in the story ties in with the other characters later in this video. There are 2 characters we see in screenshots. One is this goat-horned character, and the other is this abstract character with hands. The first screenshot is from the official eShop page, and looks to take place outside of the Avalon Forest. The plants look different, and Cereza is still holding Cheshire in her arms, something she seems to stop doing after Cheshire gets possessed. It's unlikely that you come across a house in the forest before Cheshire's possession, so I assume we come here before entering the forest entirely. This means the goat-horned character is likely a witch, perhaps even the Umbran Elder, or if I'm wrong about Jeanne's mom, then this could be Jeanne's mom. Regardless, this other character we see is actually from a screenshot I took myself at the end of the old picture book from Bayonetta 3. With how abstract this character looks, it could just be a boss we fight at some point. However, there's a possibility this character is more important, and they're also in the running for possibly being the Fairy Queen Mab. Our penultimate character to discuss is the White Wolf. This can be one of a few things. Number 1 is a Lumen Sage, though that doesn't make much sense since Avalon Forest is forbidden and overrun by fairies. Number 2 is Luca's spirit, unbound by time, as we know his Shredder form is that of a wolf. Perhaps this would be his true spiritual form, but that's also unlikely. Number 3 is an entirely new entity that exists either as a fairy or alongside the fairies. The sun goddess Amaterasu perhaps, or perhaps nothing more than a spirit guide. Wolves have typically been associated with males in the Bayonetta series, so the Amaterasu guess is mostly a joke. Lastly, number 4, and what I personally think, this wolf is an extension of the character who sends you into Avalon Forest, as we see a paw print on their cape briefly that looks like a wolf paw. Again, I find this to be a major plot point I'll discuss later. Finally, we obviously have our preteen version of Cereza, and there's several points of interest with her. Hopefully your brain has settled a bit before I continue, cause this gets a bit mind-bendy. Okay, you good? Okay, good. So for one, Cereza doesn't have her mole yet, as we can see from any picture of her so far. As moles are typically connected to when a witch becomes fully fledged, this makes sense. Next, this multiversal Cereza exists in a universe that fairies exist in. As revealed in game logs, the fairies only reside in a select few universes among the multiverse. Currently, we've only been aware of 1 or 2 universes they reside in. One is the universe Viola was born in, as she's part fairy. The other is the universe Lucan, the fairy king, resides in, which likely isn't the same as Viola's, since when she meets him in the Avalon Forest in Bayonetta 3, neither of them recognizes each other, even though Viola made it very clear at the beginning of 3 that she has memories with her father, so far as remembering exact words he spoke. This may have gone over your head, but Lucan never perished from Singularity's threat, so it's likely his universe was never destroyed as he's the arc atom of it. We even see his universe when Viola meets him in the Avalon Forest. Perhaps Lucan's extra powerful Twilight magic left his world undetected by Singularity. Conversely, Cereza from Viola's timeline shows expertise in fairy magic, as she activates Viola's fairy powers before dying, and like I said, Viola is part fairy. This leaves 3 possibilities for the universe we're exploring in Origins. Number 1 is Viola's original universe, number 2 is Lucan's untouched universe, and number 3 is the small chance that these timelines are actually the same. To add more fuel to these possibilities, let's look at Bayonetta 3's logs. Bayonetta from Viola's universe is labeled Bayonetta Beta 0. Meanwhile, the Origins outfit you unlock in Bayonetta 3 is called the Super Mirror 0. This implies that the Origins scenario could have played out in Viola's timeline, which we'll call Timeline Beta 0. However, the beta symbol throws this theory off a bit, doesn't it? Perhaps then, Beta 0 is just an extremely close timeline to Lucan's timeline, which we'll call Timeline 0, in which case the events of Bayonetta Origins could take place in both of these timelines with some variations, or, as I mentioned before, these timelines are actually just one and the same. For transparency's sake, we're just gonna call the Origins timeline Timeline 0, representing that it's either Lucan's timeline or that Beta 0 and Timeline 0 are actually the same. If they are different, then I do not believe that this game takes place in Beta 0. Now back to the trailer. In the beginning, it's no accident that Bayonetta is shown alongside Luca in almost every scene shown. This is heavily implying that Luca will be featured almost as prominently as Bayonetta in Origins, yet he's nowhere to be seen in promotional footage just yet. Perhaps he shares some actual connection to Cheshire? We'll have to wait and see. In the first shot of gameplay, we see a scene that we can actually reach in Bayonetta 3. If you unlock the old picture book, you can play a small demo from Bayonetta Origins. The first gameplay scene in the trailer is the last scene you come across in the demo. This time around, little pink bunnies have been added. The way fairies appear is just like Strider's spatial realm attack in Bayonetta 3. They even have a move that takes you to the same dimension Strider can take you to. Perhaps this is the realm the fairies are actually from, since we know from logs they apparently come from a realm that isn't the Chaos Realm. Speaking of which, when the fairies get killed, they seem to shatter like glass. Reminds me of how Bayonetta's and Jean's shatter when killed in Bayonetta 3. I wonder if there's a connection there. One of Cereza's spells seems to be one where she binds enemies in vines, so Cheshire can do big damage. That's pretty cool. There's a mechanical object in the forest in one of the scenes, which makes me wonder what purpose it serves both mechanically and story-wise, as it obviously looks like it doesn't belong in the forest. The last bit of gameplay I want to discuss is that, on the eShop, it mentions that each Joy-Con controls one of the 2 characters, left for Cereza and right for Cheshire. This is a cool way to control two characters at once, but what's even cooler is that you can up the challenge by playing this co-op with someone else. Just hand them one of the controllers and one of you does the fighting while the other casts the spells. This sounds like a bloody good time. But I know what most of you are here for. My analysis on the story. Alright, so let's get started. The Platinum Games website description says that Cereza is looking for a way to save her mother from something, and that the lost demon Cheshire is simply looking for a way home. This leaves two things very vague. What's plaguing Cereza's mother, Rosa? An illness? A vision of the future? Perhaps even that of her demise she meets in so many timelines at the hands of Lopter? Is this even really her mother as the silhouette looks foreboding? I'd assume it is, simply from all the roses all over the cage, but who can say for sure? The other mystery being, where is home for Cheshire? Sure, he's an infernal demon. The easy answer is somewhere in Inferno, but something tells me it's not as cut and dry as that. I'm excited to see more insight into infernal demons through the lens of Cheshire. The possibilities are endless. So, to save her mother, some mysterious character tells Cereza to go to the Avalon Forest and follow a white wolf. As I said, the white wolf is most likely connected directly to this mysterious character, meaning they seem to be playing puppeteer on Cereza's adventure, and all the more reason I don't trust them. Jean's mother tells Cereza she may become a snack for fairies in the forest, implying they can actually devour people in some way. This doesn't stop Cereza though, obviously, and soon after getting attacked by fairies, Cereza manages to summon her first demon, which possesses her Cheshire doll, leading to a journey together through the Avalon Forest. Now, something that could have happened at any point up until now is the scene where the mysterious character says they will give Cereza the power to save her mother. Quite convenient, so again, feeding into why I don't trust them. The mysterious character seems to have the power of the elements, or perhaps seeking these elemental forces is what Cereza needs to do in the Avalon Forest. It's not 100% clear, but one thing is for sure. Something sinister is afoot in this story. Let's take a listen to the laugh at the end. Gives Gruntilda a run for her money, doesn't it? While I do believe this laugh to be coming from the Umbran Elder, as it does sound like her voice, there is a chance that this is the laugh of the Fairy Queen mob. In which case, if I'm right about the mysterious character, this could line up fully because they do seem to be a villain. However, if this is the Umbran Elder, then the story is completely shifted. We know the Umbran Elder and the witches typically shun and hate Cereza for being the child of a Lumen sage, so perhaps they sparked these events to try and have her be killed off in the fairy forest? A lot of questions arise from this first look into Bayonetta Origins, so we really can't know anything for sure quite yet when it comes to the story. However, I do hope that I was able to give some insight so we can at least have some semblance of a clue. Let me know your finding down in the comments, or if you have any conclusions you've made from all this. This video was made possible by my supporters on Patreon, so if you'd like to help me make more videos like this, go ahead and click the Patreon link to join now. Otherwise, stick around the channel with more videos, including this one where I explain everything you missed in the ending of Bayonetta 3. There were way more secrets packed into that ending than you thought. I've been Johto Jonny. Enjoy.